absolutely a pleasure every time I meet him and we get to listen so much from him. Thank you so much, Ashish, once again. And I will get out of this stage now, and the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Adyaji. I think you stole my line. I never met somebody more humble than you in my life. But thank you. I'm honored to be here. When you spoke to me, it was always nostalgic. Also, I myself is a alumni of SIMBI. I passed out my BCom in 2000 from SIBM. At that time, of course, the SIBM was the leading college on Senapati Bapat Road. So I did my BCom in 2000 from SIMBI, and I'm truly honored to be here today to share, discuss with you about my experience in entrepreneurship and how why I think it is a great time to be an entrepreneur today than ever, and in fintech specifically. I'll take a few minutes and give a small background about myself, then maybe about early salary, and then I jump into few of the points why I think what does it takes to entrepreneur. I'm to be honest looking for seeing that if I can ignite fire in few of you to become an entrepreneur, and that would be the success which I would look for. So I'm a chartered accountant, passed out in 2001, and I did my BCom from SIMBI as I was mentioning. Then I worked for almost close to 15 years with Bajaj Allianz in their investment department. When I moved out of Bajaj Allianz, I was their chief investment officer. Oh, I was managing almost close to 50,000 crores for them, as well as it was quite a cushy job. No hassles, 9 to 5 office, and amazing exposure to the global markets. I've spent a lot of time abroad also looking at global markets, primarily invested into India, but it was an exciting career which I was having. But in 2005, I decided to quit and jump into entrepreneurship and started early salary. So it all came down at the end of the day when we were looking at people. Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are
So,
audible.
sure, sure, thanks. So when I started early salary, we were looking to solve a problem, uh, which was very simple. Like the people like us who came into their jobs for the first time, we are at 23, 24 years old. We want to start our careers. We also need some cash in hand to really manage our lifestyles and manage our initial expenses. And we realized that the banks were not there, and the second thing, banks were not ready to give very small loans of 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees. And we thought that we realized that it's a large market opportunity, and we decided to build a technology platform which can solve that problem. And from that, the step by step, we have really built the early salary. Our core theme remained that how do we really service our customers in a best possible way, in a digital way, so that there is no physical interaction with the customer. Today, my customer can apply for a loan in 10 minutes and can go through the journey even at 12 o'clock in the night, and he will get money into his bank in maybe let's say less than 15 minutes. And everything would be done by the systems, where the systems will read the data from various sources as well as whatever documents he is uploading. We will able to do the character recognitions and decipher the information and try to really give him the decision back whether we would really like to service that customer or not. Over a period of time, we have built a lot of other products, built a company which has scaled where today we touch millions of lives across India, but our office only in Pune. So what we have achieved in last 4 years and 4.5 years of journey is that we really built a firm which is technology driven, which has built the company at a scale without having a physical offices across India. In a lending businesses, when you are building the businesses, it is very easy to give out the money. It is tough to recover the money, and that's what it takes, and that's where the entire physical world has been built around. But we were able to successfully decode the entire equation and come back and say that we don't need offices. How can we really manage those issues digitally, and how can we really provide that experience where the customer doesn't need to come to my branch, doesn't need to go anywhere, and he can do everything at his comfort, sitting at in his living room or in office. So we see this just to give a glimpse of our customers. Most of our customers will be quite young, just maybe 2 3 years older than you as you pass out of the colleges. Many of you would need the cash to start your life, and that's where the salary comes into picture. As the name suggests, we provide you to take your own salary early, and by so most of our customers will be 26, 27 year old. They will be working in most of the top notch IT companies, and we would be servicing their needs, be it a need for paying their home deposit, splurging on a party, or if they want to buy something on Flipkart, Amazon, they can actually use us everywhere to really uh, to uh, meet their expenses. And many of these things are seamless. So like you really don't need to take money to your bank to go and spend money on Amazon, Flipkart. You can directly do the shopping on that. So we allow our customers to shop on most of the big retailers. We give them the card also, which allows them to shop anywhere, and in case they need cash, they can always transfer to the bank, and that's what we stand for. So this is what about early salary is. I'll now touch base about what I think, why what is the topic today is the entrepreneurship in general, and how do we really think about it. According to me, I believe that the time today what for entrepreneurship is could not be better than before. Today, it gives you an ability to take risk. It gives you an ability to really have an ecosystem which allows you to raise money, to uh, reinvent yourself, to go and build something which can touch billions of lives. What does the entrepreneurship gives to you? Many a times we take a comfort in finding a job which yeah, is much comfortable, less riskier. But I can tell you that entrepreneurship is as good as the job. If you love it, it becomes a part of your life. It gives you power to be yourself. It gives you much more decision making. It matures you much faster. It gives you an ability to look at each aspects of the business. See, when I was working with Bajaj, I looked at investment exclusively. I got a deep understanding of a investment function, and I became the chief investment officer. But at the end of the day, I was a specialist. I looked at the things कहाँ invest करना है, कैसे करना है. Uh, if somebody asked me about that, how does the insurance policies work? While I do have an idea about them, but do I have a deep understanding about those segments? My answer would be no. So what does it teaches you is one, it teaches you about every aspects of business, whether it is finance, whether it is consumer retention, whether it is marketing, whether it is legal processes. So you go through everything of that aspect, which makes you much more mature. uh, what it gives you an opportunity to meet your dreams as well as to touch millions and billions of lives. Because today the about the scalability of the businesses which can happen, they can survive and build, touch the lives of billions and can make a difference. So like if you look at Flipkart, they are built by the first generation entrepreneurs, which started about not more than 15 years back, and they sold that company for $17 billion, which was almost close to a lakh crore. And in that turn, the biggest satisfaction when you talk to them is not about making money. It is about the way they have touched the lives, with the way they have transformed the entire ecosystem. Today, a lot of small businesses sells on Flipkart. Like many of homemakers sells their products on Flipkart. Similarly, there are products which allows like Ola, which has transformed the way the taxi businesses happen today. People there are becoming an entrepreneurs. People they are taking a car on a rent, or on loan, and running their own cars instead of running an auto which was owned by somebody else. So it actually transformed the lives of millions of people on both sides. There is a customer also as well as the supplier also, and that satisfaction is there. But uh, the question comes is that what are the things which are needed for the entrepreneurship, and I keep getting that kind of question. So one is the you need to have a belief that you can do something on your own. That's the first thing. And it is not about that this is not meant for me. This is all assumptions about things that the हमें job करना है, entrepreneurship is not for me, it is not in it, right? But it is not true. If you get out of comfort zone, if you think that, "Yeah, I am very comfortable of being uncomfortable, and I have ability to survive the downturn, I have ability to think future, I have ability to think, saying that how I want to see myself 5 years down the line," you will start seeing that there is an opportunity for you. There is something which you can do, and uh, so uh, so that's where the entrepreneurship comes. And I urge you should think about how can you make a difference to the India. Like today we see there is a huge movement going on where we are saying, let's boycott Chinese app, and why we can't have our own technology platforms, and which provides an opportunity. Why this kind of a thing is happening? Because there is an ecosystem which is available today, which allows you to become an entrepreneur, which allows you to fulfill your dreams, your ideas. If you have an idea about something, there is a venture capital funds which are available, which can provide you the funding if the idea is fundable, which was not there 15 years back. That's why I always wonder, I should have born 15 years younger, because today's ecosystem, when I was growing up, that was not there. There were no VCs except couple of them. There was no incubations. There was no incubator centers. There was no Startup India initiatives, which all fell in place in last 5 years. And we should thank the companies like Flipkart, Ola for that, because they showed the Indian people that there is a money to be made in the entrepreneurship, and people started doing the entrepreneurship. And the biggest thing which happened is that people started accepting failure in India. 20 साल पहले अगर if somebody used to fail in their entrepreneurship, people used to say, "अरे ये fail हो गया." But now people take it in a much bigger stride. Actually, the people with a entrepreneurship background are very sought after. We ourselves has hired 3 people who has started their startup, did not succeed. Today they lead our many divisions, and they, because we see in them an ability to be uncomfortable about situation, to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situations. So they are quite comfortable when things goes down, and which definitely goes down. Uh, but that's true in job markets also. So many of these things starts falling in place in last few years. Your friends started talking about, let's start together. Like Akshay and me started talking about 2013 onwards, saying that we should start something on our own. It took us 2 years to really put the project and the plan together to start the businesses. Today, I see a lot of people coming out of colleges, starting as a friends, starting working on an idea and looking to achieve something. And that's a great thing, because when you have like-minded teams, it becomes much easier for businesses to grow. And there is a large untapped opportunities. Today, the technology has really opened up the minds, which was not there. Like uh, who would have ever thought of the home delivery of a food can be a large business? Or like I still remember when we started our businesses, many of the venture funds told us that it is the big daddy's businesses. How can you survive? And today there are niche markets which are available. We took a niche saying that, yeah, how do we really provide funds to the youngsters? How do we really provide them the ease where they don't need to get the experience which a bank offer today? If you go to a bank, it will it will take you almost 15 days to even get your application processed, and it will take anywhere between 20 days to 25 days before you can get access to your funds. uh, in most of the cases, while they publicize that they can give money in a day's time, but most of the times the money will not hit you for anywhere between 20 to 25 days. And how can we really provide that user experience? How can we really provide a much better interface where the customer can at ease provide that, can get that service? And on the top, today the data analytics is such a large field. Like we are able to analyze the data in a real time and provide the information to the customers on a real time basis. So today, just to give a glimpse of it, we look at almost close to 3,000 data points about each customer who comes in, and that get processed in less than a minute, and the customer gets the answers from us in that time, that whether we are going to give him a credit limit or not. Which created a new opportunities into this world, which was never existed before. And every day there are new kind of business models which are coming into place. Agri businesses has become a really a large business opportunities today. The rural India has become a large opportunity. I know a friend who is building a company which just makes products for beards, because in last 10 years most of the male population started keeping beards, and we just created an opportunity because the big companies like Colgate, Gillette, etc. never are not positioned for maintenance of the beard, and they are more about how sharp the razor could be to give you a clean shave. And suddenly you see these small companies are taking over large market share because they are solving a niche problem, and that opportunity is available in every field. And the other thing which has changed is the network opportunities which is available today. I'm pretty sure, like Symbiosis also has a incubation center. Many of the colleges started their own incubation center. Many of the large companies, like in Pune, there must be at least close to 10 incubation center. I was addressing Pune Engineering College Incubation Center a few days back, and that has given a huge boost to the entrepreneurship. So that's the nutshell of the ecosystem, how that ecosystem is evolving much faster and giving you an opportunity to really make a difference, to find, to see a reality of the dreams. Each one of us has a lot of ideas about how can we change the world, how can we change the sector, how can we really make a difference. We all come from various places in India, and we have seen problems faced by our parents, by ourselves, uh, by farmers around us, by people who are working with us or for us. So, like, there is a company. What it does is it provides credit culture for the maids comes to our homes, which was again a very unique and niche concept, where what they are doing is that they are providing them end to end. They are opening their bank accounts. They are providing them passbooks. They are tying up with the companies like us to provide the credit to them. They are giving them the attendance access. They are allowing the employer to pay those salaries through UPI, and which gives you an opportunity to really build those businesses. And all these things are built by the first generation entrepreneurs. So you don't need to be really anymore the son of Bildas or Tatas or anyone to really start a businesses today. The idea has a value, and that is what we are doing, and that is what we are seeing. A lot of people are working on it. Uh, Moving on to the fintech side, today there is a large amount of opportunity which is opening up in fintech. We always thought that the financial services businesses are run by large banks because it needs large amount of capital, uh, which is true. But having said it, there is the amount of technology development which can happen in financial services is immense. And what is happening today is just unimaginable amount of pace at which the financial services are changing the pace. Today, the UPI, the IMPS, the KYC aspect, the Aadhaar has changed the way the India works on the systems. Like today, the payment systems like Google Pay, Phone Pay, which every one of us has used, the Paytms. Like today, you can go on Paytm and virtually do a lot of transactions out there. They provide you to pay your bills. They provide you to book your tickets. You can book your Book My Show ticket out there, etc. And which creates a large ecosystem opportunities from the payments perspective. But that is something which just many of us has just seen. We are also seeing that there is a large amount of work happening on the rural inclusion programs, where people are trying to build products which can be utilized by the people on the ground. So that there are smartphones which are available with most of us, even people at the farmer, the guards, the maids has smartphones today, and which gives us an opportunity to reach out and create products for them. There is an opportunity in wealth management. Like today, most of the people in the wealth management piece works on servicing the high net worth individuals. There are very little work has been done to service the people who are into the segments like who earns anywhere between 2 lakh rupees to 10 lakh rupees a year. because it is not a lucrative business if you try to do it through a relationship manager, appointing a human to handle those kind of customers. So there is a lot of robo advisory which is happening, and there is a large amount of scope out there still today, because India is a savings economy. Still there is, according to me, not more than 1% people have access to the formal advisory route where they get a right advice for yeah, managing their wealth. So what they do, they end up investing that wealth into either gold or in the real estate, or they buy on tips. If somebody tells you a charge, you are a stock खरीद लो, and they end up buying that, and many times those are not the great decisions. So there is a huge amount of work which can happen in the wealth management and the investment field. Similarly, there is the insured tech, where people are building devices which can work on the cars to find their insurance premium, to do the claim processing, to do the health insurance, to find on the health tech side, to find opportunities where now they can detect COVID using algorithms than using the blood test or something, where they just attach the device on your body and the algorithms can figure out whether you can have COVID or not. There are devices which are made in India which can do the ECG for few cents of a dollar than the expensive ones which comes from abroad. So the opportunities across sectors, across verticals is huge, immense, and there is enough opportunities out there. So many a times the question comes around that if already there is a large player out there, how do I really go and build my opportunity, because there is a competition. So competition will always be there, and it is good to have competition. Otherwise, you are building something which is of which is needs you to really go and create an opportunity and can tell the people that इस तरह का product है, इसको आप खरीदिए. Whereas if you have competition, you are building that opportunity, that sector space together. Of course, you need to be more efficient. You need to build much better products. You need to work on various things to ensure that you come out of the race much ahead of the others. Uh, and you need to find your niches and how does that niche works for you. So these are on the opportunity side. There are a lot of softer elements which I would again go back to emphasize on the point, saying that how does it really be an entrepreneur. So let me tell you a story. When I was in Bajaj, if I'm traveling, I never used to worry about whether which hotels I'm going to stay, or whether the hotel is cheap, this is costing me an extra price, or whether the flight tickets are very expensive, or should I reschedule my tickets, or etc. But when I started my own company, many of those things started coming into my psyche. I started thinking about how do I really optimize on many things. I booked my own laptops. I uh, traveled on a odd days to figure out which are cheaper. So like normally I don't travel on Monday and Fridays in the pre-COVID times, because flight tickets are invariably expensive on Monday and the Fridays because of weekends. So it is always better to travel on Wednesdays and Thursdays, because flight tickets would be little cheaper than others. Uh, Other interesting thing I will tell about is that it makes you so independent that you start having much confidence in yourself. So when I was in Bajaj, I met a lot of people, and many of those people I'm still in touch, and they made a lot of difference in what I am today. So there are people who will come and help you, and but it will also show you few people which will show you saying that they were concerned, they were always your friends only because you were the chief investment officer, right? And which makes you very humble, which gives you an idea that there is a large world out there, but there are people who will help you. And the biggest learning which I had in my entire last 4 years, which is uh, the first is that I worked in last 4 years, I think 10 times of what I worked for 15 years in Bajaj. Always working at every point in time. I'm looking to sell the story of a distillery. I'm looking to raise money. I'm looking to fight the crisis. And what I learned is that there are two biggest things which you need to really always have. One is the survival instinct and perseverance. You need to just be there, keep fighting the battle. You will survive. You need to find new ways to do it, because if you do the same thing again and again in the same way, the results is the same. So how can you do it much better, faster, cheaper? So like there was a quote by one of the very prominent management guru, is saying that in India, if you want to do things, uh, we always believe that let's deliver something cheaper than what it cost in the US. But in India, if you really want to build a scalable business, you need to think about it. How can you deliver uh, 10x quality at a one tenth of the cost? Because that's the way only you can build a large scalable businesses. And there are possible and there are upstream examples who have said that it can be done. And every business which is the traditional business is ready to disrupt. Only thing which you need to do is that you need to go out and figure out where how can you really disrupt, study it, do it, take that pain, go through entire thing, understand the how can you really make a difference, and you can make a difference. Entrepreneurship at the end of the day is not a wildness. It is not a crazy thing. It is confidence. It is about calculation. It is about have that confidence, saying that I can do that, and find the right team, find the right business model. Uh, don't be afraid of failure. The risk is much lower at this point in time. I can tell you, as you as I've gone through my points and I've met a lot of people, at every point in time we think of 2 साल और काम करता हूँ ये let me make another 10 lakh rupees or 50 lakh rupees and then I'll start my own business, or let me make this thing, or let my kid go to school, then I will start, or let me pay my home loan, then I'll start. Most of the time the best time to start is now. The risk is much lower. You can actually try, learn a lot of things, and can do it, and there will be enough people who will help you out in the entire journey. And Just the opportunity is very large. That with that I will be more than happy to answer any questions which you have.
Yeah, yeah, students, you can now go ahead asking questions. In the chat, I'm waiting if you have any. Sir, just now you said the risk is low in the current time. Can you just elaborate that?
So, about 15 years back, if I would have thought of starting my own business and think of raising, let's say, 200 crores, which we did in last 3 years, it would have sounded crazy in a sense that that kind of money was not available. Okay.
Okay.
Of course, we raised slowly. We raised 10 crores, then we raised 50, 30 crores, then we raised 100 crores, then we raised 100 crores. So the today the risk is lower from a perspective that there is an ecosystem which is available. And second, not taking risk itself is a risk. I'm pretty sure I read this quote in one of the schools notice boards that not taking risk is the biggest risk. Today, the ecosystem allows us to take that kind of jump or plunge. I would say that today, if I want to go to government of India and find out that can they help me in something, there are people who are receptive to it, which was not there ever in the history. Similarly, like there is an incubation center. Like there are people who are ready to mentor us, mentor entrepreneurs. People are now seeing a pride. Even the people who are retired, they are more than happy to work with startups than going and working with the large established companies, because they themselves are looking for experience. And the biggest thing is that it gives you an ability to really uh, explore yourself. It gives you an ability to build something which you have an idea. And I'm pretty sure every one of us have few ideas in our mind that we want to deliver, we want to go and tell people around it, saying that this is what I can do it, and that I used to do in my lunch hours with my friends whom we used to stay together at a hostel, etc. And today there is an opportunity to make those dreams come true, and that's why I think that the risk of starting is low, because there are people in the ecosystem available for you to fix up few of the things, like uh, just to take an example, many of the people who are from the technology background find it very difficult to do finance, and they find it that this just goes above their head. Today, there are people who are 20 year experienced finance professionals. They are ready to work part time on a consulting basis, and there are companies like there is a site called mycfo.com. Again, the same technology platform, they realize that there is a problem that nobody can afford a full time CFO. So they said that why can't we do a one CFO who can advise 10 companies, and everybody pays one tenth of it, and everybody gets the full benefit because they don't need more than that. So there is an idea which can fly today, like who could think of that Ola can be a means like when Ola started, people used to joke कि जब मैं बाहर जाके हाथ हिलाऊंगा तो गाड़ी आके खड़ा हो जाएगा और मैं टैक्सी में बैठ के चला जाऊंगा, ऑटो में बैठ के चला जाऊंगा. Why I need an app. Similarly, when we started our business, people used to say that how you will compete against HDFC Bank or the ICICI Bank. But there is an opportunity which is available, which people need to harness. Yes, against every two successful company there are 10 who are not successful, but those 10 people might not success in the ideas, but if you meet those guys you will realize that in their life they are much more successful yet. No, the idea is that how do we really and of course it is not going to be as easy as the 9 to 5 job, because even in the job markets you need to put a lot of efforts. uh, you need to put a lot of efforts if you really want to grow. Like just to give my example, at 27 I became the chief investment officer at Bajaj Allianz, and Akshay became chief marketing officer at 27. Very few companies would have such a fast growth, unless very few people will have such a fast growth. Most of them will take 20 years to reach where, but there will be few who will reach in 5 years. So at the end, you need to put effort into your jobs also. You need to put efforts into the entrepreneurship also. So uh, there is no escaping from hard work.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for answering the question, sir. I think so. One student has asked a question. She's Ananya Tandon. She has written that as fintech into 2020 advances, how does trade automation, trade performance analytics, etc., impact trading professionals? What's your perspective on the future of fintech? This is the question she has
Okay.
asked.
So that's a good question. So on the trade side, there is a huge amount of work which is happening, and not only in the field of trade finance. There is a end-to-end pieces which are building on the trade side. So like today, if you are doing international trade, it needs a lot of legs to fix up, which can be getting a line of credit, sending a bank guarantee to the other parties, doing a forex transaction, settling the transaction at customs, etc. And at the end of the day, you need to discount that bill because you still want to pay after some time. The bill may be payable after 60 days or so. Uh, and at each piece of the time, there are people who are working on those trade finance, because at the end, the trade finance is a large piece of on which the economy runs, whether it is domestic or whether it is international. So there is a lot of work and a lot of people spending like energies on building trade finance. Like there are companies like Guyana Capital, Credex, etc., whose primary job is to arrange bill discounting for the partners, to arrange end-to-end game. Similarly, there are companies like Rivigo. There are companies like Blackbuck, who does the last mile logistics, which allows trade facilitation. At the end, you need if you want to send a small parcel from one place to the place. Earlier, it was very tough because most of the transporters would not book a, let's say if you want to book a one fourth of the truck, it was very tough to get a one fourth of the truck. You might need to buy the smaller truck, and which will be very expensive. Today, there are opportunities where you can actually book a one fourth of the truck and send your goods from one place to the other place, and that entire thing is getting automated. At the means like the entire black box system is working automated, because they don't have the trucks, they don't do any kind of booking, but everything is trade automation at the end of the day. And on the fintech, like I spoke about InsurTech, there is the huge opportunities in every field of insurtech. So there is a one of the graphs. Let me see if I can find, which actually uh, uh, which actually showcases the Wells Fargo chart. So it might be there on the Fargo side also, which shows very clearly each segment of the banking industry is getting attacked by the fintech. So there are fintechs on the deposit side also. There are fintechs who are working on the lending side, like we are working. There are people who are trying to efficiently manage the forex remittances. There are people who are doing on trade finance. There are people who work on overdraft accounts, and like insurance selling, mutual fund selling, wealth management, etc., which normally the banks do. And the entire each piece of the financial system is today getting a niche and getting people to work on those niches. And today, I think there might be more than 1,000 fintechs in India itself working on payments space, the lending space, the wealth management space.
So the next question is from Kshitij Agrawal. He is asking, sir, what do you think is the future of cryptocurrency in India? And also, what is the scope of blockchain technology beyond cryptocurrency?
So, I am not a big fan of cryptocurrency from a perspective of the bitcoins, etc. But if you look at it, I will take it into two parts. The blockchain technology is not only used in cryptocurrency; it is used across various segments. The entire trade finance now is shifting towards blockchain, because what does the blockchain does is that it verifies the transaction. It says that how can a particular transaction which is coming on a internet, can it be secured by a open API or a public key, which is unbreakable, and but which gives a lot of confidence, which can be verified by anybody, saying that this transaction is an authenticated transaction and it shall be honored. And the blockchain, I think, has huge amount of scope, and they are continue to work. Like even we use some pieces of our equations in blockchain. On the cryptocurrency side, my view is that many of the central banks over a period of time will start getting into cryptocurrencies, where the nodes and the way today the entire banking system works, that might shift to a much more digital currency, where you can actually transfer money from one account to the other account. Like today, if you see, the Paytm, credit card, etc., are nothing but a digital way of transacting the money. So as the time grows, there is a larger opportunities in how do you really digitize the use of cash, and where you can really play on hundreds of different terms, because you can just think of saying that, okay, I want to do a digitization of cash for, let's say, maid servants. I want to do it for vegetable vendors. I want to get it done for the SMEs of the spaces, or I want to do it for Reliance of the world, or I want to do it for the large financial institutions, etc. So the opportunities to work on many of these digitizing the cash utilization is a larger opportunity. Cryptocurrencies at this point in time is still finding it not a large usage, but it will have its own play, because the biggest thing why the cryptocurrency, especially the way the bitcoins work, which is the largest one in today world, is the issue with the legality, and anybody can utilize it without having the checks and balances which the government and the society wants. And at some point in time, it will be resolved. I think many of the central banks, I'm not sure, but I think either the Bank of Norway or the Swiss central bank has already allowed their currencies to trade like a cryptocurrencies, or where it is more of a digital currencies. So yeah, that is my view
Okay.
on the
So the
cryptocurrencies.
next question is very interesting. Harshratil Bansal has asked, sir, what can you comment about the early stages of your entrepreneurial endeavors, wherein you came from finance background and faced the technological challenges of setting up an app and the technology integrated credit system? So your
I
journey,
can
sir.
spend hours. I can spend hours on this question.
Right.
Like I said earlier, also, it is very See, no one of us can have all the qualities needed to run a business on your own. So I'm not an expert on technology. I'm an expert on finance. I'm an expert on how do you really manage the entire equation. I can visualize how things will work and how it should look like. At the end of the day, it's a collective effort. You will employ people who are smart, always hire a talent people. That's the philosophy. And you need to manage those equations very well. So when we started our company, me and Akshay both are not from technology background, from a sense that if somebody wants to us to write a complex course, we can't do that. We both come from finance and marketing background, so we hired people who can build tech for us, who can build app for us. Okay, and that's where the app and the technology piece comes. Of course, over a period of time, while we did not learn the technology coding, but we learned how does the technology actually make a difference and how can we really visualize in our mind. Today, like I may not know how does an API work, but I know what can the API do. So I spent a lot of time in the initial phase, even today, really learning about what is happening in the world and how that technology can make a difference. Like just to take an example, when the Google Pay came in, so I don't need to really know how does the Google Pay is going to work. I need to think about it. How does the Google Pay can make a difference to my business and put the right questions to the team and try to find how can it you can really work on it. Um, as you grow, like today, even I don't manage finance. I have a team who manages finance. My most of my time goes into team management, going into managing the external stakeholders. Also, just thinking about it, how what is next for the company. So, idea is the softer skill sets makes a lot of difference. You need to know put some of the harder skill sets. Also, you need to know how this business can scale. How does this business? What are the downsides which can happen? Like just to take an example, it is in our lending business. It is much easier to give money. You need to focus on, are you giving money to the right person. Once you ask the question that how do I give money to the right person, you will have a credit person who will come and say that this is the way you should do it, and then you can say that no, that is the usual traditional way. How can I do it differently without compromising on my credit quality? Can I use these two methods? Like I'll give you an example. Let's say you go to a bank and say that bank says that okay, show me your bank statement, then I'll see that how much salary you are getting, and I'll give you the money. Okay. Whereas you come to me and I see that you have a car loan from another bank, and that shows that you have a Honda City as a car loan. Can from that loan amount can I calculate what could be your probable salary? So like today we do that. So we will go and say that okay, it's a 15 lakh rupee car. He's paying this much EMIs, and according to this, his salary should be a lakh rupees. Otherwise, he can't afford it. Then basis that can I tell him and provide him an ease of access. So idea is that how do we really visualize the possibilities and go around ensuring that those messages are clearly passed on the team. You are the directions are clearly articulated about the goals and the visions of the company.
Sir, the next question is by Harsh Shah. It happens a number of times that the startup is successful. However, the decision of expanding further spreads its resources too thin, and a stable business goes bankrupt over a period of time. What do you think is the correct decision in the early life of a startup, acquiring more market share or spending more on achieving stability?
Uh, it's a again a very situational. Most of the times, we would look to scale the businesses, but it depends. Like for last 3 months, we have actually did not ever thought in our mind to scale up our businesses because of COVID. We were actually trying to build our businesses, trying to stabilize our current businesses, building the new processes, trying to figure out how does really you will how does the market will react post COVID. Having said that, there is a always a it is very sector specific. Just to take an example, let's say you must have many of you who are from Pune have seen Wings car in the initial phases. Okay, they started much earlier, or the Meru in Bombay. They started this providing of private cars on taxis much earlier. but they did not scale to the national level like when Ola came in or Uber came in. So sometimes the scale makes a lot of difference. Of course, you should be very clear in your mind about how you are going to achieve your scale, and at that scale, how you are going to manage your other things. So the biggest thing, what happens when you are trying to reach a scale, is there are two things which you need to spend focusing on. Like as a founder of the company, if the company is scaling up, the current business lines has to have the people who can scale those businesses without having, let's say, Ashish Goel in the office. Can Ashish sits in Udaipur and still the current early salary business can run? Then Ashish can focus on building the next line of business or going and figuring out if he needs another money. He goes raises that money and try to build that piece. So money and the talent, yeah, becomes the two core pieces where people flutter. While they have an ambition, they try to grow faster, but they don't uh, have that kind of a funding, or they think that कि अच्छा मैं एक साल बाद पैसा उठाऊंगा और at that time I will think about it, and by the time the market may turn around and you might not able to do it. So it is a quite a tricky to really find between the scale versus the stability, but most of the time the scale will win the battle in a short run, purely because you need to reach a sizable market share, depending upon the money you have with yourself, the talent you have, and the kind of market opportunities you are looking at it. Else, somebody else will come and become much larger to you, and that opportunity may not become then remain that successful, because then acquiring talent itself can become a challenging piece.
Sir, Lakshya has asked us that when you start your venture, when you're young, sometimes most of the stakeholders they don't take you seriously, like suppliers, partners, or prospective investors. So, how do you convince prospective stakeholders that all will benefit if they get on board and work in collaboration? Because their support is very crucial in the initial stages. So, how do you convince
I
them?
think it's I think it's in your state of mind. If you go with a state of mind saying that he is not going to not going to take me seriously, he's not going to take you seriously. It's just like going to the principal, and if you are not serious, nobody is going to take you seriously. If you are serious, people will take you seriously, because if they don't take it today, in 3 months time they will realize that they are missing on this amazing work you are doing, and people will take you seriously. So the age do make a difference. So maybe you grow beard if required, but at the end of the day, people will take you seriously if you are building something exciting. If and There are people, like, just to take an example of Sachin Bansal. He started Flipkart when he was just 26. Similarly, Bhavesh started Ola when he was in the college, right? So, and there are optim examples, like Facebook it was started in the college. Bill Gates started in the much early, while you have Jeff Bezos who started Amazon much later in the life. So age is just a number. It is about you need to have a mindset that सामने वाला बंदा मुझे seriously लेगा, he will take you seriously. If not, there will be other somebody else who will take seriously. See, there are always hundreds of vendors to supply you what you need. If you build a product, people will come to you.
Yeah. So the next question is by Abhishek Bhagwat. He's saying, sir, how do retail investors strategize like institutional investors? They seem to have access to large sum of money, equipment, and information which is unavailable to small retail investors. I have read Goldman Sachs report, and the traders make very minimal losses, while 95% of retail traders make losses or very minimal profits. What do institutional investors do different? Means he wants the comparison between the two, I think.
So, uh, so it takes me back to my earlier life. So there are two parts. One is that if you are looking at it as a business, then it's a large opportunity. Saying that the retail investor always lose money. How can I build a business? So you can look at example of Zerodha. You can look at examples of many boutique investment companies, like today, uh, Wisdom. There is a company called Grow, etc., who are trying to build robo advisories for the people to invest. Now, coming to the question of the why Goldman Sachs money make money on 95% of the time versus the retailers lose money, I think the answer lies into the fact that one, most of the time the retail investors do not put that kind of an effort to invest into it. So like if I'm buying a Reliance Industries, most of the time if my chacha or my brother or my friend told me that oh I bought Reliance Industries, अच्छा दिख रहा है तू भी खरीद ले, and they will go and buy it. Uh, and second, they like today. Just to take an example of myself, I like so. Let me tell you a story now. So when I was talking to Ashutosh sir, he actually wanted me to talk about the markets and about how does portfolio management shall happen in the COVID era. And I told him that I've left that 5 years back, and it is very tough for me to answer that question because I don't have that kind of information and the depth at the moment because I've left that as a job. My job today is to manage a company. No, so similarly, each of the retail investors has some primary job in their life. So like somebody might be a businessman, somebody might be working with Infosys and he's coding it out, or somebody is working with a HDFC Bank trying to do a corporate deal or something. So everybody has some work which they are doing. So that's their work and that's where they spend their 90% of the time. And if we expect that some person in 10% of his time can uh, do that kind of a research which an institutional player can do, I think it is not a fair expectations from that retail investors. That's where many of the times the retail investors are advised that you should put money through mutual fund because then you are handing over your money to the set of people who work. Just like if you are a businessman and running a business, his work is to just keep day in day out look at those companies, analyze them, and exit if required. And second, the topmost thing what it works between both of them is that he is unemotional in compared to a retail investor. Retail investor, if he bought a stock at 100 and it becomes 70, he says that वापस 100 आएगा तब बेचूंगा. Whereas the institutional investor knows that he has no emotions attached to that stock and he can book losses. He just goes ahead, book losses, and move from stock A to stock B. So there are a lot of things which goes on why retail investors loses, but most of the retail investors loses money when they invest into the day trading, and most of the institutional players don't do the day trading apart from Goldman Sachs etc because they are doing the trade against the retailers, so it becomes much easier for them because they have a much better depth of the understanding of the markets at that point in time. Like today, just to take an example, if you notice, the gold is going up, bonds are going up, equity markets are going up, bonds in price sense are going up. Today, the 10-year US Treasury is trading at 58 basis points. The Dow Jones is almost closer to the high. Nasdaq is all-time high. Uh, the gold is at all-time high. The silver is at all-time high. The not a multi-decade high. They are all-time high in the markets. Crude is not coming down after the supply cuts also. So, and the currency, the dollar is weakening. For a retail investor to really look at so many aspects and take a decision whether he should buy Reliance shares or trade a Reliance shares is much tougher than an institution like Goldman Sachs to take a view because they have the people for each of this line of business to take a dedicated view on them.
Okay, sir, the next question is by Prajwal. He is asking there has been an increasing talk of crowdfunding for startups. What is your take
Yes.
on this?
So I
About
think it's a
crowd.
great idea, and to some extent, the crowdfunding was always there. So whenever, like when we started, we asked our friends and family if they want to invest into it. They invested. So it was not a formal platform, but the entire angel investing is nothing but a crowdfunding. Okay, where you give cash and you take equities. While crowdfunding takes a lot of different kind of ways it works. So many a times you say that okay, after 2 years I'm going to make a wireless headphone which will be 10x better than Boss, and I'm selling it today for 50% price, and people buy those products today through crowdfunding where you are not giving equities, you are just giving them the promise to deliver a product. I think it's a great platform, and it has already started picking up a lot in India also. There are quite a crowdfunding site. The ones which are very famous are the ones which are doing philanthropy at this point in time. So there are sites who raises tons of money for people who are suffering from a critical illness and need immediate money and they are poor. And there are sites like Milap, etc., who are nothing but crowdfunding. So if somebody is suffering from cancer, he can go apply there, and they can raise required money out there, because there are people who wants to do that. So crowdfunding has a huge future according to me, and it will remain here.
So last two questions which are left now. Talib has asked this. What is the process of applying for services of incubation centers or venture capitalists?
Uh, there is no formal process. Let me just take a very you can say a crash course on that. There are few things which you need. I'll talk about venture fund and the incubation centers. One is that you need an idea. That's the first thing. Tick that off. Brush on it, go into the market, talk to few friends, talk to few people. Don't ever think that I will not share my idea with anybody, because कोई और उसके ऊपर पहले बना देगा और मेरा idea वो चुरा लेगा. At the end of the day, you need to share your idea with your customer. You need to share your idea with venture capital fund. And if somebody has a balls to do it, he will do it. So idea is that how can you reach out to the wider people and find that how can you really fine tune your ideas, make a presentation saying that this is the way it will work, where you at your current stage has thought about all the possible questions which can come up. So like just think about it. When I was starting, the few questions which came up, आप कैसे करेंगे जब HDFC बैंक है. So you need to think about कि what is the answer which I am going to give it. You can't just say that look, there is a large market and we know that we will succeed. Nobody is going to fund you, right? So the idea would be that okay, we'll create an app. This is the way it would work. HDFC Bank doesn't do these things in this way, and we think that we can deliver these things much better. And at the end of the day, we will end up making money. And we understand this business, and I'm pretty sure about achieving it. So that's the first thing. Second is what kind of team you think you are trying to build. The teams needs your co-founder. What are your strengths? What is his strength? What are the skill sets you need to hire from the market, and for which how much money you need. Then third is that what is your go-to-market strategies? Whether it's through app, whether it is through non-technology platform, uh, and how you are going to really achieve your end goal. And so these are few of the things which you really need to keep clear. I would say that having it doesn't need a very well plus tech, because at the end of the day, most of the people who invest at that kind of a level understand that these are still work in progress. But it needs a clarity of thoughts in your mind, saying that why you think this idea is fundable, and why that person should trust you with the money. So at the end of the day, he has to make money. That's why he's putting in the money. And the incubation center and both work the similar way. There are you can search on Google to find who are the incubation centers and go and approach them. Many of them do give you trainings around how do you really make business plans, etc. Where like people like us comes and gives you an idea that you need to think your business plan in a much more bigger way, because especially when the tech people or the non-tech people try to venture into other segments, they face challenge. Like we face the challenge of how do we really build technology. So we went and had two mentors from the tech side who helped us in really understanding, thinking, clearing out thinking about the technology. Similarly, we teach a lot of startups about how do they really think about finance, how do they think about risk management. So idea is you need to work beforehand. Work is needed to be done before we can go to the VCs and the incubation centers, and they are available in plenty. In Pune, we have almost close to 5 6 early stage venture fund, and we have maybe 5 7 incubators spreading across.
So, sir, final question I can take, the last one. From Anuj, he is asking, sir, how are you managing the risk of bad loans during such crisis as there are a lot of pay cuts?
So, uh, of course, there are a lot of pay cuts, there are a lot of job losses in the current era of COVID. Uh, Also, it shows the time when uh, you you differentiate between boys versus men, and it showcases saying that how do you really how what you built pre-COVID, was it sustainable in this period of time. Whenever you are trying to build a business, you always have a few things which you will always keep as a contingency that if something goes wrong, do you have enough money to survive that? And at the end of the day, many a times in this kind of crisis, you just need to be faster than the others, or you need to be some little better than the others. So in this kind of a period, what we have done, we started looking at our portfolios much early. So in the month of March itself, I had a clue that this crisis is not going away. That's why in the first week of March itself, I moved from Pune to Udaipur, saying that okay, there is a this is going. But of course, I never expected it to be 4.5 months. So I moved my base here. That was more of a personal reasons, but we realized that this crisis is going to be long, and it's going to create a lot of uncertainties in the people's mind. And that's where we started monitoring our portfolios much faster, much better. Started reaching out to the customers, saying that how do we really support them, and as well as also started evaluating whether we should give the new money to them or not. Just for like we almost still disbursed more than 100 crores during COVID period, and because we had a much larger confidence in the algorithms which we have built, we were able to identify at a portfolio level that what could be the job losses, because you can go and say that tourism, transport, the travel industries are badly hit. So let's not lend to them. But IT, ITES, food delivery companies, etc., are in demand. So why don't we try to focus on those things? So you start doing your risk management, which is a day-to-day work. So any businesses which you are building, there will be always few parameters which you will internalize, saying that okay, every day morning I need to check these things, and every day you go and check those numbers and keep ensuring that those numbers are in line, and start visualizing that how can those numbers can change based on any new information which is coming.
Yes, so thanks a lot for answering all questions of the students. I would like to thank even Dr. Shreya and Sandhya for being there for moderation. Now I will hand over to Dr. Dheeraj Jain for formal vote of thanks. Sir?
Sir,
I hope it was quite helpful for everybody, and
yes,
all the
Yes,
sir.
best
sir.
to
Yes.
all the
Yes,
students
yes, yes.
and
Sir, on behalf of all the students of SCMS and on behalf of the faculty, Dr. Abdul Shreya ma'am, Ashutosh Suma ma'am, we thanks a lot for sparing your time and giving an insight to our students as to what entrepreneurship journey is all about. We thank you very much, and surely our students will benefited from the experience that you have shared in your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks
thank
a
you
lot.
Thank
very
you,
much.
sir.
Thank you. All
Thanks
the
a lot.
best.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thanks a
sir.
lot.
All students are typing in thank you, thank you.